All right, Taurus, welcome to your yearly of 2016 Sidereal Astrology forecast. My name is Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to this type of astrology, do check the description down below because your sign might be different. All right, Taurus, so this year, very transformative year, as you might guess. A lot of the energies are coming out from 2015 and going into 2016. The eclipses are very much emphasized because we're going to have Jupiter over the north node the first half of the year, and then Chiron over the south node, and then in the second half of the year, Neptune over the south node. And while that's all going on, Saturn is T-squaring both points. So if you can see here in your chart, you've got your north node, which is going to be shifting this year. Let me go and back up. It's going to be shifting this year into your fourth house. So this is the house of home, of family, of your past, of your roots. There's been a lot of expansion here this later part of 2015, and will continue to be this year for the first half with Jupiter. All right, so there's a lot you're learning perhaps about home or feeling good about your home situation. And that positivity, or at least that wisdom that you're gaining right now, can be channeled into very much towards your shifting pursuits, your shifting life path, your shifting direction, which is going from more of the self-expression area of the chart and into that watery home emotional aspect of the chart of the fourth house. So while that's going on, the south node is releasing, and the energies you'll continue to release this early part of the year will probably be in regards to groups or community things, unhealthy sort of perspectives and things in relation to that, but very much about healing, wounds relating to this. That's going to be the big shift with Chiron over that south node and Chiron going into Pisces now this year. All right, so the more open you are to healing and releasing any old energies relating to groups, organizations, friends, and do that healing work there, that does create the space for these new beginnings for you to go into this, real comfortable domestic personal aspect of the chart. Now, the shift, of course, will happen a little bit later when it goes into your career, which we'll talk about around mid-year. But this first half and pretty much all year, Saturn is going to be squaring up to the nodes. All right, so there is that patience, there is that hard work in regards to these areas, specifically that path that's expanding for you in the fourth house. And Saturn's in your seventh house. So recently, over the past, depending on when you're watching this, the second half of 2015, you may have noticed that extra tension, that extra wanting to work hard and discipline the relationships, the one-on-one connections, right? And this is all kinds of one-on-one connections. It could be through business, it could be with family, it could be with friends, and it could be your significant other, whatever it might be. So all relationships are going through this serious construction with Saturn in that seventh house. So with that, this is the focal point of this T-square and of this life path shift for you. So being willing and open to working hard at those one-on-one connections, that maturity, that slow and steady approach is really grounding these two areas. So T-square is about action. It's not always easy, but it can be very constructive. And what we build this year can be very long-lasting in regards to the home, family stuff for you, the organizations, communities, and friends, perhaps, your career, which we'll talk more about, and those one-on-one connections. This is a very important part of the chart. You know, it's the 10th, the 4th, and the 7th house axes, very significant in life. So I want to show you the graph from this going in from 2015. You can see a lot of these aspects started this later part of 2015 and are still continuing into this year. So one of which is just this Jupiter squaring up to Saturn. This is that optimism, right? And if you've been feeling like since August there's been some new goals or some new inspiration to really work hard at, it's definitely a good year for that. Again, grounded, because the optimism's there, especially with Jupiter over the north node. There's a lot of, positivity, overarching life view, but we have to use Saturn. We have to, use that contracting element to turn it into a reality. So that's going to continue. We've also had Jupiter trining Pluto, so it's just a fantastic year for change in general. Okay, a lot of positive support for change. And for you, again, I think it's with the home and family stuff. And then Jupiter opposing up to Chiron. All right, and by the way, fourth house is also health. All right, so for a lot of you who are involved with health, new direction, a new shift with a lot of that too. It's also fourth house. But Jupiter opposing up to Chiron is that same healing I was talking about. And here's where we get into very important transit of the year. Saturn squaring up to Neptune. This is that uncertainty, that doubt and confusion that maybe we've been feeling November time period. So the key with this, like I've been saying, is faith and trust. And it's really faith and trust with everything unfolding in your career on that public level or with your legacy and those relationships for that matter. right? And through that, you'll find that you are able to build very constructively these two areas. And that's where the shift is going to be. Like I was saying, around mid-year, we've got that south node then shifting into that 10th, right? Oops, let me go and get this right. Shifting into that 10th. And you'll probably feel that shift around June, July time period. Maybe May, actually May, June time. And then the second, we'll talk about the eclipses, but the second set of eclipses here around September, really going to activate that. All right, so let's talk about the eclipses because it's a very important part of the year. First set of eclipses are in March. March 8th is going to be the solar eclipse, and that's going to be right on the cusp between Aquarius and Pisces, and it's all about releasing. And it's a new healing, it's a new releasing because the solar eclipse is like the new moon. So there's a new chance here, and I think you'll feel this around this March time, is to release those old energies, to do that healing work with the groups, community, friendship, things, whatever it is for you personally, even with your ideals and visions, as well as maybe even with work and career. And that's a big part of this too, with all this healing you've been doing on that level. There's a lot of things being released with that. So the more open you are to releasing old energies, unhealthy energies in those areas, then it's supplying the foundation for you to move into that life path, which is expanding for you around that more personal aspect of life. So that's going to be March 8th, and then the lunar eclipse is going to be in Virgo. So there is things culminating with your self-expression around this time, probably specifically since that later part of 2015 when we had the last set of eclipses. So culmination here, and really a culmination from the past 2 years, because your North Node's been transiting that 5th house of yours. So there is things coming to light. It could be creative, could be entrepreneurship, business, anything that is about our interests or hobbies also. So that's pretty much the first half of the year. Jupiter does change signs. He's going to be going into Virgo here in August. So there's a shift here where there is continued growth and expansion. I feel like with your life path, with your North Node in regards to home and family, there's a definitive shift to where I think you're just going to be feeling quite good and quite expansive to express yourself, to create, to follow those interests and those hobbies in life. And that's where you're going to gain a lot of positive energy from Jupiter. So it's a good way of working with it. And, for the next year, you'll have Jupiter there. So that's the growth and expansion that will continue. Now, also mid-year, I want to show you in the transit graph is we're going to have Pluto trining the North Node. And I feel like this is a big shifting point because you can see a lot of the aspects either culminate, the Saturn completion. There's things being completed around that time period, especially around May. And then in June, final changes with Jupiter trining Pluto. There's a new shift and a new understanding. There's insight coming in with Saturn squaring up to Neptune. It can also be a very confusing time, but there's also a time of really understanding that importance of faith and trust and all of that. And I think there is a spiritual perspective there, especially with Pluto trining the North Node. It's a pivotal point and a shift where there's just more, opening for that emotional connection. Maybe for some of you might be starting a new family. Some of you might be moving. Some of you might be, getting in contact with old friends or karmic friends or soul family, things like that, which is all 4th house. And your health, maybe making big changes to your health this year. All right, it's a positive energy with that, especially with Jupiter over there, conjoining that North Node. So big month there, and then those second set of eclipses are in September. So we're going to have a solar eclipse on September 1st, right at the beginning of the month. And so that's going to be in Leo. All right, so new beginnings and a new shift, as there will continuously be in regards to home, family, and those 4th house pursuits. And then in the middle of the month, we're going to have a lunar eclipse on September 16th, which is going to be in Pisces, which is going to be that culminating point I was talking about around healing. Okay, and then that work you do from March to September could be culminating at that point in regards to that old energy being released, specifically around the group, organizational, or community things. So one thing I want to bring to your attention, and one thing I want to say actually before I get to that, is Neptune is going to be very close to the South Node during this second eclipse season. So the key with this is that there's been this importance of really connecting to your work because it's meaningful to you, and really doing work because it actually gives, and it's something that you feel like is true to your soul and gives you that soul satisfaction because it's something greater than self, which is Neptune. That's a big energy that's been important for you, and to continuously expand on that. But there is a lot of old energies and unhealthy energies being released in regards to that this September time period. So see that. Sometimes it's over extremes or under extremes of these areas. For you, over extremes of work, under extremes of career and work. and finding that middle path and having still that grounded, importance of giving and contributing, but in that balanced and healthy way. And again, that's going to be more fuel for this. But one thing I want to say about the end of this year in December is that we are starting brand new transits at this time. And just like the end of last year, but this one's going into 2017 with a lot of liberation, a lot of freedom. Uranus is a major player. Saturn's trining Uranus. Jupiter's opposing Uranus. And Uranus is going to be trining that north node. Okay? And Jupiter's going to be squaring Pluto even. All right? So there's a lot of expansion energy, and I feel like it's a lot, based on what we've been grounding here for you with the relationships, with the home and family, and with the career stuff. And earlier in the year, community stuff. Okay? Our friends. And it's all about focusing and moving into that fourth house direction, taking it nice and slow, taking it grounded, and building those long-lasting one-on-one connections while releasing the old path, the past relating to that career and stuff. All right, Taurus. Well, I hope you guys have a fantastic 2016. I want to thank you all very much for all of your support. If you ever have any questions, feel free to comment down below, or you can reach me at masteringthezodiac.com. And I'll see you guys all next time for the weeklies and monthlies. Take care.